folks, guns, gear, and on-target training out here in Oregon. Several subscribers have asked me recently about everyday carry. What do I use? What do I carry? Why do I do it? So I'm going to answer some of those questions. Let me start and preface what I'm going to comment on by saying everybody's different. Everybody's body type is different. Everybody feels different ways about the way in which they carry firearms for personal protection. So if I'm not talking about the way you do it, it doesn't mean the way you do it isn't right for you, provided that it is safe. From an everyday carry standpoint, at its most basic level, like what's the minimum when I go out on the street or I'm going somewhere, what's the bare minimum that I would take? Now, so much of this is dictated by clothing, by what I'm actually able to wear or how I'm able to wear it. So in the summer, my carry setup is different, and in many cases it's lighter or it's flatter. What I mean by that is I may shift from a double stack to a single stack magazine, or where the gun is on my person, depending on my clothing. But here's my bare minimum, assuming I've got to tuck in my shirt, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But my bare minimum starts with some of the most basic things. A flashlight, high lume output flashlight that allows me to use a strobe feature on the light that can help disorient someone with non-lethal force. The other one is some type of blade. So obviously you need to be compliant with whatever your state laws are regarding the length of the blade or the type of the blade. This is a fairly inexpensive Kershaw knife that I've been using for years, or I've had some variation of this. It's, I believe, 3.5 inches in its overall length of the knife. For me, this has been perfect. The knife, the light, I use all of the time. Use the flashlight constantly. Now, some people say, well, I don't need a flashlight because I always have my phone with me. Fair enough, if that's what you want to go with. I like having my phone as a backup to my primary light, which is, of course, the light I just showed you. Now, as it comes to an actual firearm, what I find for, again, concealed carry where I can't tuck my shirt in, wearing shorts, don't have a lot of places to have the gun, is some type of pocket holster like this. Now, this gun is the Ruger LCP 380. I've been carrying this little gun in this pocket holster for at least 10 years. I find this setup very flexible. How many magazines am I carrying? I am carrying the 7 rounds in the gun plus another magazine with 6 rounds. That's my minimum. Folding knife, tactical flashlight, 380, little pocket holster, and the magazine. The importance about a pocket holster is to make sure the trigger itself and the trigger guard are completely encased. The other thing it's important is if I have to present the gun. This is not a fast presentation going from a pocket holder. If I have to present it, when I go to holster, I'm going to take the holster out first. I go to reholster, and I'm going to put the holster in a safe position away from my body, pointed in a safe direction. I'm going to reholster the gun. A lot of accidents with pocket holsters happen when you go to reholster, so remove the holster. Okay, let's say I'm in a condition where I can carry outside or inside the waistband because I've got a concealed garment over it, whether it's an untucked shirt like this, or it's a vest or something else. In most cases, I'm going to use a very simple setup, and I'm going to run the gun at approximately this orientation, which is 1 o'clock on my body. That fits with my body style and shape, and it is comfortable enough for me to sit and drive and do those other things while still having the firearm, again with the trigger guard completely covered in a holster. This is what I prefer. Now, you can get different devices. This allows me to simply clip the clip over the belt, and when I do that, I'm able to put the gun in concealment with my garment over it without having to take my clothes off, not having to remove my belt. So I really like that feature. This holster is by US Grunt Gear, and there are a lot of other folks. The other one I like very much is an actually even more minimalist design by BG Gunworks. Don't have that holster right here in the room right now, otherwise I'd show you that. I carry 16 rounds in the gun, so that's a Glock 19. And then I have a 19-round magazine that I carry in my pocket. Reloading from the pocket, is it as fast as an outside the waistband belt mounted mag holder? No, it's not. But again, it's giving me additional ammunition if I were to need it. I favor using whatever local police or federal law enforcement is using. I think that is just makes a much better situation if you ever had to defend yourself, because you're not using something that's crazy, that's jacked up, that's above and beyond what general law enforcement is using. And in this case, I like the Hornady Critical Defense 135, the Flex Lock. So this is a plus P bullet. And it works well and very reliably in all of my guns, whether it's the Glocks or the M&Ps. They all work fine. Very reliable, very good. Why this bullet versus a lighter one? I'm not going to spend any time on that. You can decide whatever bullet is you think is right for you. I just want something that's reliable, that's quality, and that trying to think of multiple situations, would I ever have to have something that could get through a barrier? I want to have that. I hope I never need it, but that's why I prefer this ammunition. One other thing to consider is, do you have the way in traveling, depending on where you're going and what the situation is, that if you had to leave the gun behind, some of you would say you would never do that, it would never happen. So you drive down with a bunch of friends, you're going to the beach, you're going to go in the water. Is it possible maybe you don't want to leave your gun unattended behind, wrapped up in your bag on the beach? Maybe. I don't know. For me, I like to have the option of having a tool that I can lock my firearms in. And this is a fairly simple safe that is biometric, so it actually goes off my fingerprint. It can be programmed to have multiple users, so you and your partner. The reason I like this is it is a deterrent, if locked and hidden in my car, from someone gaining access to a firearm that shouldn't. Again, some of you are going to say, well, I'd never leave my gun anywhere. It would always be on my person. But I believe there are some instances where you won't have the gun with you. Do you want it lying on that beach in that bag, or sitting in the car in the glove box? Someone breaks in, they steal your gun. Do you want that on your shoulders, or would you rather make it at least difficult and in a position to defend your actions? Because someone's going to use that gun, gets back to you, someone's going to try to sue you, as crazy as that is. Would you rather be in court saying, you know what, I did everything a reasonable person could do to prevent the access, and so I put it in a safe. They took the safe, they cracked the safe. I think that's a stronger argument, and also the right thing to do from a responsible citizen standpoint. Well, folks, that's a perspective. I'm not saying what I have shared here is the best for you. I'm just sharing what works for me based on the fact I was asked to do this. I want to thank you so much for your ongoing support of the channel, your comments, and your feedback. Stay safe.